Travelling through the Cotswolds, we headed for the city of Bath, but first made a brief stop at a little village called Byberry.
So England being an island, this is an absolutely typical Cotswold village, has a river running right through the middle of it, which is full of trout. It's famous. There is actually a trout farm here in Byberry, and there's a very pretty little row of cottages along here on the left, little sort of almshouses, and we'll just stop here for a very quick photo call.
The 19th century poet William Morris described Byberry as the most beautiful village in England. This terrace of houses, known as Arlington Row, was originally built as a sheep house in the 14th century. In the 1600s, it was converted to provide cottages for weavers who supplied cloth to the Arlington mill. We stayed a short while here, admiring the beauty and quaintness of this lovely little village, which was bought and repaired by the Royal Society of Arts in 1929.
On board the tour coach again, we soon found ourselves entering the city of Bath, where the many three-storey buildings made from local stone dated from the 18th and 19th centuries.
For a very brief period of time, so we all jump out. Take you to get back to the coach, so you can be very much like the ones we passed this morning, exactly the same way, with the kitchen below, then the dining room and study on the ground floor, and the main reception rooms one floor up. Here on the left are the...
We did a quick tour of the circus, a circle of townhouses conceived by John Wood the Elder and begun in 1754. Wood was interested in Roman architecture and built the circus comprising three different architectural styles, Doric, Ionic and Corinthian at the top. Then we stopped to look at the Royal Crescent, a series of 18th century buildings housing 45 rooms and suites. Built between 1767 and 1774, the facade was designed by the younger John Wood. It appears to be 30 houses built in a great curved structure, but behind this facade are individual houses designed by various other architects.
On reaching the Roman baths, we were impressed by the ornamental ceiling in the entrance hall. In 1668, Thomas Guidot, a student in chemistry, moved to Bath and set up practice. He became interested in the curative properties of these hot waters.
We had previously visited Bath in the year 2000. A columned gallery surrounded the milky green pool below. Faux Roman figures were fixed like sentinels on the balcony, each one facing the pool as if keeping guard. The Romans developed and maintained this complex during the first 3 centuries AD, and it was used by the Roman aristocracy during that period. This entire structure above the pillar bases is a later reconstruction. At the pool level, A variety of old column bases, capitals and cubicles are features of this complex.
The Celts dedicated the baths to the goddess Sulis. However, when the Romans came, they named it Aqua Sulis, meaning the waters of Sulis. The pediment was originally mounted on columns and dominated the temple courtyard. This model shows the remains of the baths as they were known after the excavations of 1880 to 1896 and portrays the extent of the site in the 4th century AD. Another model displays the baths and the temple of Sulis Minerva as they would have looked at their greatest extent in the 4th century.
These are some mosaic floors which came from the buildings in Aqua Sulis. Columns of tiles once supported floors under which hot air circulated to heat the sauna. The temple and hot springs of Aqua Sulis were an important place of worship. People came to pray and make offerings to the goddess Sulis Minerva.
The hot spring rises at the rate of 1,170,000 litres each day at 46.5 degrees centigrade. The Romans used it to supply hot mineral water to the baths. The water bubbling up from the ground originally fell as rain from the Mendip Hills, which percolated down through limestone aquifers to a depth of between 2,700 and 4,300 metres. It is raised by geothermal energy to a temperature of between 64 degrees centigrade and 96 degrees centigrade, and under pressure this water rises to the surface, forming the hot spring.
In the 1st century AD, this was a large entrance hall to the baths. In the 2nd century, it was converted into a cold room with a circular pool. Bathers, after passing through the warm and hot rooms, would stop here for an invigoratingly hot plunge. This city centres around the 15th century abbey, originally a Norman church, but the present church dates from the early 16th century.
The Poultney Bridge, not far from the baths, crosses the Avon River and was completed in 1773. Poultney Bridge became not only a means of crossing the river, but also a shopping arcade. Along with the Rialto Bridge in Venice, it is one of the very few surviving bridges in Europe to serve this dual purpose. It has been substantially altered since it was built. The bridge has a rare Victorian pillar box at the east end.
The bridge was named after William and Frances Poultney, who owned the Bathwick estate for which the bridge provided a link to the rest of Bath. Leaving the Poultney Bridge, we decided to take a leisurely walk along the bank of the Avon River, heading towards an interesting little park. Bath has some outstanding parks and gardens, and after taking in this one by the river, it was from here that we ended our short stay in this historic city.